Official game, I suppose. What did you learn about your style?
Oh, I learned a lot. Learned a lot. They'll probably learn a lot. Just the methodology, just to things you can do that work and things you do that don't work. You've got to start to get the balance out. And I thought we balanced it out, albeit by working one way, you do rob yourself of some defensive play, and we took that gamble. So I'm not too sure I really want to sit with that, so we'll have to work on that. It got us back in the game, but I'm not 100% sure that you can keep having shootouts with side, particularly like the third quarter. But nonetheless, it was enough to, I guess, spook Richmond a bit, and we were able to pinch a couple of goals and then make it interesting. So there's areas that we need to really zero in on. I didn't think we used the interchanges anywhere near to the capacity or the way I wanted to, and that's a lesson for, I suppose, for runners and players to make sure that we get that right, so that you keep the pressure back on sides. Clearances, we gave away too much to Richmond, who were very, very good in that second, and even to the point of the third quarter where they beat us comfortably, but we got back, but it was very late by that stage. Just a little bit of unusual panic by a couple of players who are better than that probably had a bit more time to steady with their kicks, and either that for scoring or perhaps even for setting someone else up. So, but there's enough there to suggest that I believe, and as I said to the play group, there's no witch hunt in the rooms tonight. It's just simply we needed to look at why our planning didn't work and why we're able to get back in the game.
I guess there's two ways to look at it. You can either rue the first or the second quarter in particular and how you let them off the chain, or you can praise the ability to come back, I suppose, when you're 42 points down. What do you put more weight on forward?
Oh, well, if you're going to look at it positively, we had some players that were very ordinary in the first half, but sometimes it's very difficult in a game of football to actually change that totally. In other words, be very poorly beaten to become winners. And two or three players in particular went from that to what they finished off with. So there's great pluses, because that shows a bit of character. To acknowledge change just prior to half-time, it's very difficult. You can't even put a blackboard out there, but to acknowledge change and then change it up and then just change the system enough to give the group a chance. So there's a positive, but why did it happen in the first place? So therefore we've got to look at that and say, well, how do we tidy that up?
A lot of conversations with Joe during the night. You're not going to tell us line and verse what it was about. Was there a particular theme to it? Or
when was that?
Well, when he came to the bench a couple of times, and also at the breaks.
Oh no, I think at the bench, at the break, when I was on the bench and he was on the bench, no, I was just getting he was next in line to come back on, and I always speak to players that are off the ground, whether it's Chris Judd or anyone else. It's only a 2-minute break when I'm down there, and at quarter time, the breaks, yeah, if there's a player there in front of me, I need to talk about a certain structure. Then you go to players that are in that area, and I spoke to him and Mark Murphy and Dennis Armfield about what was needed to be just changed. So it wasn't, I didn't hunt out one player, not at all. And I'll talk to every player. They'll all know by the end of the week roughly where I saw them on the evening.
A lot of debate outside the club about what is the best way to go with. Obviously, you play for Ruckman and big men. How did you see that going tonight?
Well, our forwards didn't kick enough goals, that's clear. Key forwards didn't kick enough goals, but I kicked 4, and I think it'd be fair to say 2 of them may well have come through the middle of the ground. So the downside is we didn't kick enough goals from them. The upside was that we kicked goals as ruckman. So if you pinch your goals in ruckman each week, you're not doing too bad. So I'm pretty certain that 2 of those goals come from midfield work. So you've got to catch the football. In Levi Casbolt's position, he took 1 mark. Sean took 8 marks. Kicked 1-2 from him, and Matthew took 6 marks. So whether it's enough marks, I'm not sure. At the end of the day, we levelled off there. We're 2 shy of their total.
The game's obviously longer than the last couple of minutes, and you're never pinning on a goal like Cristiano, but you've been out of the hustle and bustle for a while. Can you take us through your thoughts when Chris strolled in and 30 metres out and lining it up?
No, there's no rush of blood. There's no what's going to happen. I rarely look at the ball. I usually didn't even know. I'd rather look at the players' reactions and find out who's behind the ball. If it's a goal, first process is what do we need? 2 in front, 3 in front, 4 in front players. If it's a point, are we ready to step in a position? It's not a matter of getting caught up in the kick. The kick's the kick. You can't change the kick, but you can change what's going to happen next. And that's what I want to look at, see where players already position themselves. And as it turned out, that kick went, and they got a free kick from it. I'm more interested in the fact that the free kick was given in a position where we didn't need to give a free kick away. The ball could have been another shot on goal. As it turned out, they got the ball. So that's more of an interest to me than the shot on goal.
How do you go about picking up a guy like Yarra after those shots you missed late in the game?
There's 30 odd points scored. I'm not going to pick 1 point out.
I mean, you obviously feel lower there.
And so did the 2 previous ones. We kicked the last 3 points. Sorry, we kicked 3 of the last 4 points. So you pick 1 point out.
What about the team as a whole? I mean, obviously, on paper at least, it's a pretty tough opening. How do you go about picking them up?
I don't need to pick players up. What do you think? They're going to walk around with their head down? If they've come back and had a crack. This is one round. It's round one of a 22-week season. This is not a matter of... They're not babies. They don't need to be cuddled and caressed and told how unlucky they are. They got beaten by a better side. We know we got beaten by a better side. We know we've got a lot of work to do to make us more competitive, as every side will. And I guarantee that if you went to the rooms of the other 2 clubs that have lost so far, they'll be saying, well, we need to do some work. No, we're not different. But you don't... This is not a kindergarten. These are grown men. Pick people up. I'm strange you'd use that term.
Did Mark Murphy maybe have to adjust to being captain for the time? He finished the game, I think, better than he started. Is that...
Murph's had a pretty... don't forget, we've got to be very cautious about labelling one game. He had a knee operation pre-Christmas and really didn't get on the training track until after Christmas, and nor did Chris Judd. So we've got 2 very good and talented midfielders who are getting games under their belt.
Bryce Gibbs, I think, was very good. His views on his game.
Well, I just think he's a developing player that's just going to get really more and more confidence in his own ability, and he's going to be a player that's I think we need. And he demonstrated, as you said, he demonstrated tonight. And he hasn't really had a bad game so far this year. So he hasn't played them all. He missed the Adelaide game, I think, in the NAB Cup series. So he's tracking very, very well. Smart player, hard player, good solid build. Sort of player that we need.
What were you happy with in regard to the way the interchange operated?
We just didn't use it. Players were lazy.
Thanks everyone.